Hey there, folks. Scrambling a little bit at the end, as per usual. But we're back. We're back. We're going to be continuing our playthrough of the Warhammer 40,000 content of PowerWash Simulator. I think we're continuing on to an Imperial Knight this time, which should be fun. Before we get into that, though, I see we have Miss Gloomy in the chat. Hello and welcome. Good to have you back. I think everything is up and running. I think everything is working, so we'll see how that do. But checking in with the kitties, we do have Sky up in the tree. We have Ember and Sammy on the bed. And we have Sherbet in the cat tree. Mason might be hiding under the side of the covers of the bed, off to the right of Ember and Sammy there. He sometimes does that. He'll get under the edge of the blanket and just kind of snooze there. But yeah, PowerWash. Let's get on in there. I music down a little bit so we get that full PowerWash sound. Make sure that my audio is not flaking. And let me make sure that chat is feeding properly. Looks like it is currently. I'll have to keep an eye on it. Yep, an Imperial Knight Paladin. Your next mission engines here is the Ritual of Blessings for an Imperial Knight Paladin of House Hawkshroud. Withdrawn from meritorious duty, combating something. Redacted proof pending. Among the fetid chem swamps of the planet something. They have traversed the galaxy to spearhead the frontal assault on B785, which is the planet that they've all been talking about throughout this content. Redacted for excessive verbosity. Honorable Knight Paladin is an elite unit of prodigious power. Their importance to the battle ahead cannot be overstated. So Imperial Knights, they're not the smallest, but frankly, they're, I don't know, the first one that is kind of noticeably more substantial than any of the existing mechas. Like, there are some that are a little taller but wirier than the there are some smaller, thinner ones, let's say. But these are the big, chunky, actual 40k looking Imperial mechas. Redacted purple residue. Alright, we're over here. This is where we started with the Land Raider. So this is... we have a pre-built scaffold. That's cool. You see that whilst I clean manufactorum containers, you have been blessed by the machine god. This is our boss, apparently, or was our boss. Now we're the same rank as Engine Seer Tyro 656. Still, at least now you have the title worthy of the duty. The title that he originally had. Or the same title that he has now, essentially. Some of this stuff behind the leg plate here. Hey there, Stargirl. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're doing a chat and PowerWash stream here today. You can see the paint style touches less on this. So this is kind of the silvery metal part, so you tend to get less of that. Just started today, Stargirl. So you're right in at the beginning. We started about less than 7 minutes ago. Normally I start about 4, well, I usually start around 4 o'clock, so 4 o'clock U.S. Central. But how are you doing? You doing? And if you do see me or hear me talking to somebody you can't see in chat, it's because I'm talking to somebody from your perspective on one of the YouTube streams. There are 3 streams going right now. For maximum confusion. Pretty much, you can see all the goodies here. I don't expect to see it, but there are, you know, YouTube alerts and emotes and all that goodness. I had to do the YouTube alerts custom as far as mechanically. I don't use Streamlabs, and Stream Elements doesn't do YouTube alerts, possibly. Quite a bit of multitasking there. For chat, I use a tool called Social Stream. It's essentially a browser plugin that makes it so I can wire all the chats together, so I can see, like, you know, Twitch and the various YouTube streams all at once without having to use a third-party program. That I do, Stargirl, that I do. I generally don't get a lot of use out of the intro, outro stuff since I don't sit there for long. Try to get right into it, you know. You can see a lot of the Imperial Knight's armor is like layered on over an kind of an endoskeleton. You have these plates. And a great deal of the plate is decorative. Imperial Knights are really meant to kind of invoke the idea of the old, you know, horseback knight in armor, the medieval imagery thereof. At least in their flavor, you know? They have houses and heraldry and that kind of stuff. So a lot of them end up being kind of individual operators on the battlefield. You can really see it here. They've got like their banner hanging down from the crotch of the machine. You know, where you normally hang a banner on something. Maximizes waggle potential, I guess. There's more to this. There we go. I always forget the filth pulse initially, the ability to see what grime is left on an object. And then I remember, and we use it constantly. This leg plate is not done. Power washing to tunes. I checked recently if Epidemic Sound has any more in these genres. Angle on these leg plates is a little awkward. Don't have to get it all, though, just enough to trigger the ding. Ever so satisfying ding. Get our little step stool here. Button F. Little bit of a higher angle. Definitely get to make use of that scaffolding. This thing is big. Let's see. Still playing Helldivers off stream. Game's a little intense, and it can be hard to have a crew for like 3 consecutive hours. And it can get a bit frustrating. I don't know if that's necessarily the kind of entertainment that my audience would want, you know. But it is some zany goodness. PowerWash parkour going here. Said before, but you wouldn't think it's hey there, fella. Welcome. We're doing some power wash and chat today. Let's see the painting touches on some of it. There is much meant to be wear and tear on it, but can see parts of the appearance of these that are meant to invoke the idea that these are painted. How are you doing, fella? How are you doing? Had a good day? Remember if what exactly the name of these, but I think it's like an eviscerator chainsword or something like that. Gigantic chainsword. Chainsword's already being a ridiculous concept. Your arms are tired. Did you fly all the way in from somewhere far away from you and why are your arms tired? Haha. So the old joke goes. The knight proves their fealty through survival of the something. Survival of the armor. Bench pressing. Well, that'd do it. House Hawk Shroud. Get this. Ah, there's our scaffold. Each night, houses collect at the Chamber of Echoes within the sanctuary of a nightly stronghold. Hey there, Trang. Welcome. Let's get a little closer here. Reaper chainsword. Okay. Never remember. My voice is male, yes. At least classically male presenting. As it were. Thank you, fella. I like how it turned out. Always nice when you find such a talented artist. Haven't finished it yet. I don't know if I ever will, but maybe someday. Still cleaning the Warhammer mechs, Aniji. We are on to an Imperial Knight. Big, giant, stompy guy. Oops. Let us get some of the bottom of this thing again, too. Slipped and fell. Doing good, Aniji, doing good. Sleep issues persist, but, you know, we're working through that. What kind of music do I listen to? Let's see. As far as how the web pages say this stuff is classified, let's see, we've got a little bit of drift funk, we've got some synthwave, some chill step, apparently. I'm not up on the names. I wasn't aware, but drift funk is essentially the same genre, or is the genre of the you've ever heard the or seen, I'm sorry, the Giga Chad memes. Sometimes when they're on video, there's accompanying music. A particular song accompanies them, and that is apparently drift funk. I'm picky about those because I don't like the ones that have really discernible vocals. Not a big fan of vocals in my music anyway. Instrumental only, please. As far as stuff that I would listen to like this. But that doesn't mean I don't have vocal stuff in my audio library. Just easier to listen to something without vocals when you're on a loop like this. Yeah, sleep issues are pretty standard. I have reached the stage that I usually refer to as my sleep schedule being flipped. It's not quite that, but effectively I'm what should be my mornings is my evenings, you know? Late evenings and vice versa. Frank Sinatra. I have only heard a couple of those. I can't say I'm thrilled with the singing with that kind of music, but I do appreciate somebody that can sing well, you know? And Sinatra definitely seemed to be able to the extent that he's kind of iconic of that sort of almost like, I don't know what it would be called necessarily, but you're sort of, you know, lounge singing, almost casual seeming lounge singing. As a person, I don't know. I haven't looked into Frank Sinatra. Out of the mind that you can truly separate the person from the art. I would say that the art often ends up getting contaminated by the person in some fashion, for good or for better or for worse. That's often because it's a matter of endorsement, not a matter of the art suddenly becomes bad. Let's see. As far as older music styles, I have been known to partake of modern takes on classical styles, so older styles. Electro swing can be kind of cool. I know it had a period in the sun some years back. Caravan Palace did some good stuff. At the commencement of the sacred ritual, each young noble enters the room and occupies of their night house. Throughout the night that follows, the noble's mind will fuse with the neural network of the thing. That is essentially the core inside of it. Perhaps that sounds pleasant. It is not. Right. A very different perspective than how the Mechanicus operate. The Mechanicus are really big on like body replacement in cybernetics. Most people aren't in this setting. I find I would be one of those people But at the same time, while I don't believe the future is automatically dystopian, I recognize that our society as a whole is currently entrenched so much in capitalism that I would not want to risk it. Well, thanks, fella. I appreciate it. If you end up wanting to catch up, all of the VODs are on my YouTube channel. Again, thanks for joining us. It's like a repeater cannon. Battle cannon. There we go. I don't know if it's still the case, but I know in the tabletop game, big, heavy blast weapons that do one big hit ceased to be as useful as things that did a lot of little hits. So, for example, despite the fact that this big gun should theoretically and could easily and can easily destroy any, say, like, human foot soldiers that it would be able to hit, the fact is it would be more effective to hit them a whole bunch of smaller times. The explosion from this thing should be able to take out a whole little squad easy. And conversely, because of the way that damage started getting calculated, dozens upon dozens of tiny, tiny shots, even if theoretically they shouldn't be able to do anything to the armor, became statistically better to use. Because even if you gotta roll sixes, as long as you can still succeed on a 6, then it's better to roll a whole lot of times. Because if a bunch of little foot soldiers can bring down something like this, it is a fantastic net gain in value. Which is entirely practical from a tabletop perspective, or at least it's fairer from a tabletop perspective, because you don't want to find yourself in a circumstance where, because of what they have fielded, you don't get to play the game. But at the same time, thematically, it leaves something to be desired. You know. And don't worry, while I will periodically yammer on about 40k stuff, I do have plenty of time to chat with you, so feel free to ask questions or anything like that. Or just talk in general. I think it's like behind the head or in the head, which is always weird that you would, put the cockpit in the most exposed position. Or at least the pilot in the most exposed position, especially if the pilot does not see out of the front of it like that. Heavy stubber. everything I can from the front here. Considering adjusting the streaming schedule for some days, to maybe start earlier with one of the streams, maybe start the mobile stream early, maybe for programming like things, you know? At the very least, Miss Gloomy, you'd expect the pilot would be, you know, as far inside the armor as possible, since if the pilot goes down, the thing stops working. But I think your point is not inaccurate, especially given the propensity of 40k fiction to include things like essentially melee combat. Much of the interior of this from every angle we can, because it's really fiddly. It's little bits, you know. Mentioned it with the Dreadnought, but this is why you often paint in pieces and then kind of assemble those pieces after they're painted. Hey there, casemate. That's right. This one, there's an implication that we've got the forces of chaos down on the world, since there's a lot of redacted because it's heretical and not otherwise said. And there's also some weird colored residue on it, like heavy, blotchy, like purple and green slime. But how you been, casemate? How you been? Is it still moving in and house stuff, or is that all completely random? Each restricted technology H002 stores the experiences endured by every knight that has ever graced it. So that's part of the interface with the knight process, is to share all those memories with each pilot. Throughout the rite, young nobles must battle against the will of their forebears. You make the morning. Yeah. Yeah, it can be that way, that's for sure. Glad you've got enough downtime to watch a stream with us. Definitely appreciate that you felt that this was a good way to spend what little downtime you have. Now, do you mean in terms of like a heavy grind, either for, tokens or rank or something, or do you mean dealing with the teams that you have found yourself on, or both? Hard to get all the bits on this. Jeez. They'd at least take the armor plates off for cleaning. Hey there, Landon. Welcome. We're doing some power wash and chat today. Doing the 40k power wash content. A few folks from the UK coming through. Shame the convenience of the schedule doesn't quite line up for everybody over there, but I appreciate you swing through either way. For those that weren't here for the first stream on this this content, I have 5 cats currently, Miss Gloomy. Switch over and see if we can spot all 5. So we have Sky up in the cat tree. We have Sammy and Ember on the bed, blanket and pillow respectively. And then on the other cat tree, we have Mason up on the top. And you can't see him very well, but let's zoom in on that. You can just see Sherbet in the hutch, I think. Loading. Please wait. Yeah. So these two are adoptive siblings. Separate litters, but pretty much same age and raised together. I believe they had a related parent. They're sweeties. This part right here, this part of the torso is why you definitely build all of these pieces removable. Because getting in there around these kind of frames with a brush is just not going to happen. It prevents even the just, prime that whole chunk silver and call it a day, since the shoulder plate would block all of that. And even then, there'd be the insides of some of the frame to contend with. If I recall, the alternate armament for this thing, I think there's like a gigantic chain gun kind of configuration. I believe the Renegade Knight can do like double chain guns or something like that. This type of Imperial Knight always has kind of a hunchback look to it, because of how the head is leaning forward and you get this big old back plate and pauldrons going on. Running, jumping, leaping on mechs, standard power washing fare, Now, when you're setting out to finish painting those, do you use an enamel paint or an acrylic paint? 19.991% of residuals remaining. Are you losing your touch engines here? Is our previous superior, who is jealous that we get to work on the cool stuff while they keep him working on, like, cleaning out barrels. If you look right here, these are 3D renders of the actual Games Workshop models. Like, this exhaust vent is a solid object. Usually they're like, you know, two glued together, but... This is the model, and on some of them, you can see, like, edge highlights and whatnot, as if they were painted. Well, hey there, Flexi. Oh, and a raid from Flexi. Well, hello, everyone. I appreciate it. Let's see. That can be the case, casemate. Haha. When I painted this kind of stuff, I would use acrylics, but for the final, like, sealant, I would actually use enamel sealant. You got to be careful not to let it get touched after you do that, because the enamel reactivates the acrylic under it. But as long as it doesn't get disturbed, it doesn't change anything. And enamel spray sealants are pretty resilient to differences in temperature. Whereas acrylic sprays are terrible about that. The washing goes well. Let me make sure there. I see Nat from Plexi. Welcome, welcome. And I'm going to say movie over on YouTube. Washing's going well, Flexi. Just like with the Final Fantasy VII content, the Warhammer content is really robust. Like, the whole character model is changed to be setting thematic. Hey there, Tess. If I am reacting to somebody you cannot see in your chat, they are in one of the two YouTube streams. You've got, like, Cloud's motorcycle, the little truck that is part of the Midgar escape as well. Got Barrett's bar. Or is it Tifa's bar? One of those two. Yep. I'm streaming in short form and wide form on YouTube. Tifa's bar, okay. I saw they released this, and while I haven't painted 40k stuff in a while, it's always nice to touch on the setting, you know? Ooh, that was a lot of cleaning dings there. Satisfying. So many little alcoves for dirt to hide. But what were you up to, Flexi? What were you up to today? Any cool games in the showcase? Hey there, Young. Welcome from Brazil. Very international viewership today. A couple of folks in from the UK as well. Rub that obligatory Aquila down there. For spooky games, I tend to be on the lookout for something that is suitably atmospheric and not 100% reliant on jump scares. I mean, I'm down for a little bit of jump scare. The adrenaline hit is nice. But there's plenty of them that either rely on that or rely on the, oh, you gotta hide from the monster, go find a closet. And I find that boring. Whoops. That'll give us an opportunity to clean up into the chest plate here. I appreciate it, Flexi. Let me take a look and potentially keep an eye out. Let's see, what's another one I have been playing off stream? A nice relaxing game called Thaumaturge. Eastern European seeming folklore. It's as much a it's got a lot of adventure game vibe to it, but the combat is interesting. I'm not playing it on hard mode combat, but there's definitely a coolness to it. I like the setting. Like 1905 set in Poland. Let's see, what's my other cool, quote unquote, cooldown game? Helldivers right now. Miss Gloomy, as far as Fallout games, I really enjoyed Fallout 2. The subsequent Fallouts for me, have been a mixed bag. Uh, I like roving around the landscape, kind of rampaging around, but I don't like how every Bethesda game almost universally insists on being to have level scaling. I don't like being punished for leveling up. One of the things that really annoyed me about Final Fantasy Tactics. Like, oh yeah, you'll be really strong for the story battles, but God help you if you get a random encounter. Narrative-wise, I think Fallout 2 was kind of the last one that had, well, it was the last one that ensured that the narratives would happen coherently. I think the Fallout, 3, 4, New Vegas, all of those had strong narratives. But what would happen is, because of the way that a lot of the Bethesda games work out now, is you're able to do things like easily stumble into an area that is the end of a storyline and do something that means that you'll ruin the storyline. So you don't get to experience it at all. And I'm fine with them letting you do things out of order. That's not the problem. The problem is that it doesn't trigger a relevant narrative to it. It'll just be, you enter this place and the villain attacks you and it says, oh, you killed the villain, and now the plot doesn't trigger at all. You never have somebody acknowledge, oh, hey, we had this problem, but some person dealt with it for us, or that kind of stuff. Like, I appreciate them going for the freedom, but at the same time, it does feel kind of lazy. Like, it's supposed to be this big epic game, and you're making it so that some of your plot points break based on player action. Not that they play differently or you might not experience the whole thing. It's just that they don't work properly if people exercise that freedom. That said, I tend to cheat in those games and use them as a power fantasy. Fallout 4 is especially fun if it's if you're rampaging around in powered armor with like railguns and plasma rifles. I mean, I think there are more stories that are worth it than that, Tass. It's that it is so likely that you're going to short circuit them that you don't get any of the narrative. Now, that said, that's worth it in, again, the Bethesda game format now, where a lot of the story presentation is in some guy like right up in your face, making full eye contact perfectly the whole time, talking at you. Yeah, I agree. The side quests are absolutely not interesting. And 4 doesn't do you any favors in that regard, because you have all the, like, unlock this settlement mini side quests that are universally go kill those mutants over there or something like that, 98%, we're getting there. I know there's still a Predator tank as a remaining thing. So we've still got at least one more. But boy, this one's involving. Not actually a great weapon in the wide view of things, but I think it was in 3, maybe it was in 4. There's a custom weapon that you can build, one of the things you got to find a pattern for, that is essentially just, it launches junk. Like, all the, like, coffee mugs and whatnot you can find in the environment, it uses those as ammo. And when you launch it, it actually fires that object. So you get that Fallout 3, Fallout 4 slow motion kill cam, but it's like a coffee mug obliterating somebody's head. There's something magical about that. Got almost everything. Let's take a quick look around and see if we can spot the missing parts. Before we resort to the look at the list and pore over it carefully. These things are... I mean, the model isn't a foot tall, but it's pretty big. It is. That sounds about right, casemate. That sounds about right. And all of the little details you can see here are true to the model. Like, this is the model. Every part of this is the model. And it's pretty much to scale, too. As far as, like, the character next to it. What do we got? Body of the battle cannon. Probably the ball joint of the heavy stubber mount, yeah. Even this scaffold right here is a model that GW sells. Okay, we're gonna pause for just a bit, and I'll be right back. Top up some stuff here. back, settling in here. Refill my water here. Oh, sherbet's peeking out. Trying to make sure that I have plenty of water nearby so that I'm less tempted to grab like an energy drink or something like that. You know, they're probably not helping my sleep issues. So on the model, this armature here is shared by most of the guns. This kind of ammo mount kind of thing. Like the big gun with the ammo box. And it's the whole barrel is swapped out. So the one I have that is not, you know, painted yet is has that is swappable. I've got, you know, the tiny powerful magnets embedded in there. All right, let's see if we can get close enough to the battle cannon to see where on the body. There it is. Yeah. What else we got? That's the right side of the chest. Helmet's a hassle to get into. One of the lower legs. All right, Miss Gloomy, thanks for joining us. Well, you have to get to that from behind or beside. See anything that's still grubby about that mount there. That one. go. No, this is a Knight class Titan. Apparently a Knight Paladin. All right. Pelvis plate. Heat sink pipes. Something on the chainsword. Sink pipe, okay. One of these. Also, hello, Catoman, and hello, One, it looks like. Welcome, welcome. We are doing some power wash and chat. The 40k content dropped, so we had to fire up some power wash on the stream. We get chainsword plaque, Elvis plate, helmet, and the stubber mount, which is that going to be in the... Is that one of them that's in the torso? I know this one. Let's try to get the helmet, and then we'll find the other heavy stubber. Well, lol it is. Go. Something in the helmet. That is true, lol. That is true. Big Mac. Oh, there we go. A little bit in there. Lots of fiddly parts, too. Saying earlier, they could have at least taken the armor plating off the outer plates for doing this. Is the plaque. There are currently 3 streams going, Lull. Let's see, which one are you watching? Actually, I can't tell. I have a wide format, a short format, and a Twitch stream going on right now. I can't guarantee that there are more people on any given one of them. I'm just giving folks whatever format they might like. There it is. Okay. All right, let's see that fast forward. You can only see it very briefly in high speed mode, but you are a little Adeptus Mechanicus guy, the robe and the metal armor and implants and whatnot. Chant of the Electromancer complete. How would you have Electromancers involved in this? Engines here, it is glorious to see a knight so illuminated. I feel its motive force yearn for its destiny. I'm told that our forces are now fully assembled, cleansed, in boarding for B785, the planet that they refer to constantly. The knight will spearhead the vanguard. It is vital the heretical forces consider this our full force, whilst Redemptor Dreadnought Zachiel is dropped behind enemy lines. A prior one that we worked on. Trust that we will soon hear of our momentous triumph. Oh, a Thunderhawk. Okay. Here, a heroic Thunderhawk gunship of the Adeptus Astartes, chapter designation Blood Angels, so this should be red, has returned from the assault upon B785, requiring your complete attention. Communications confirm that the artifact is on board, and the venerable Archmagos somebody other is on standby to assess its viability. The gunship's exterior is befouled by noxious contaminants from the almost certainly Chaos forces. Extensive sanctification must occur before the vehicle is approached by the Archmagos. 8 fairy lights and now you're glowing. Well, you're probably gonna need to, go to your nearest emergency room, and either they're gonna end up probably either surgically removed or you're going to be given particular accelerating chemicals, and you're going to have a bad time shortly thereafter. But I'm not a doctor, and you should consult medical professionals if this is actually a true scenario. Meta recordings taken from the deployments of the assault were relayed during your rites of cleansing. By the will of the Omnissiah, the tides of war may soon turn in our favor. So there is a series, a more senior Adeptus Mechanicus that is going to check the artifact, but... oh yeah, we got some Nurgle going on here. Look at that. Redacted residues. Recording from the battle. Approaching rendezvous. Visual confirmation of Knight Paladin engaged. It's bringing honor to House Hawkshroud. We are moving reserves away from protection of the artifact to engage. To drop the Dreadnought and our battle brothers behind enemy lines. Now, the Dreadnought seems to be an Imperial Fist. I mean, the Astartes do collaborate, but it seems weird to have just the Imperial Fist Dreadnought be represented. So we started with a tank, and then the next thing was a Dreadnought. It's a smaller mech, quote unquote smaller. Then I think the next was the Knight. Remember if there was something in between there. But then we had the Knight, and now we have a transport ship here. You can see this front hatch is one of the inexplicably drop out of the front with no cover. The Knight was in yellow colors, but the Knights are house colors, not chapter colors. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we had a Imperial Guard tank. Thank you. The one with the standardly uppity commissar haranguing us the whole time. The Knights are kind of their own faction. They are noble houses. Which in a way makes each individual knight kind of a faction unto itself. Now, I think you do get knight-like forces that are more like AdMech or something like that, but they're still generally like this knight is part of this house kind of thing. Just to further drive home the it's like a chivalric knight kind of thing. Now, I don't know if pre-heresy it was that way, because you do have older model, like old tech knights that might be different. Yeah, there is a vibe of the house has to like stay on good terms in order to have a knight, since it is a thing that they're expected to bring, you know. It further drives the like landed gentry kind of thing, is you are expected to contribute military forces when requested. Oh yeah, lol. The PowerWash Simulator, even beyond the Warhammer thing that we're doing right now, which is a crossover, there is a storyline to PowerWash Simulator. Oh, there's a little trench dealy here. like lore, storyline, kind of various subplots going on. You have to give the studio credit for taking this game so seriously, because there are a lot of games in the sort of simulator genre that are just sort of tossed out there, you know? Yeah, it's the goo on the bottom that I think drives home that we've got a Nurgle thing going, you know? And it's not just Ichor that we're seeing. So this is, I think, setting aside the Tomb Raider one, which was kind of just present. I've also done the Final Fantasy VII one. Wasn't terribly impressed with the Tomb Raider one. I haven't done any of the kind of epilogue ones for the MSQ either. Again, comical that there is something we can refer to as the main story quest in PowerWash Simulator. I mean, I appreciate, as far as Tomb Raider goes, I appreciate that they're trying to go for a more narrative kind of thing. But it's another one of those where the IP that they started with wasn't really that. So why keep trying to use that IP? It's different when you start something and you sort of veer off of it afterwards, or the original form wasn't what you is considered non-canonical or something like that. But Tomb Raider was an established series at the well before this. Oh, get something to eat there, lol. Keep your health in mind. Yeah, I mean, I liked the expansion of the setting that you could see in that. It was kind of a hero shooter that they made, but there were a lot of badly done live service aspects to it. And hello, cheese, hello. Yeah, sorry, the streams this week are probably gonna be unpredictable. They'll be during the normal times, but the sleep is really wrecking me this week. Welcome back, Gregors. We're gonna try to have some coding streams tomorrow and Sunday. That's the goal. Why, yes, I am a VTuber. It's subtle, but you can tell. I haven't finished Infinite Wealth as per usual. I looked out the window and saw a squirrel. No worries at all, Gregors. Just joking with you. I probably wouldn't need dragging through the 14 MSQ tasks if I was in Final Fantasy 14 mode still. It's not like it's not like I found the storyline to be less engaging. It's just I have to be in sort of the mindset to play it, you know? Gregors, this game is called PowerWash Simulator. Specifically, it's the Warhammer 40,000 DLC. I'm probably going to end up popping back into 14 when the new expansion is out. I generally don't stream it because I keep getting my videos claimed because of the music of the game. And while it's not like I'm making ad money or anything, I don't like to have any of my streams have a claim on them at all. I always mention it, but I was only ever interested in Fortnite back when it was a tower defense game. It was like Against the Storm or something like that. Like when it was originally released. Way back. Way back. It wasn't terribly successful. 2015 is way back. One of those oh my god moments, you know? And eventually that mode shut down for a while, and they started doing the things like PUBG were super popular. So Epic Games decided, like, hey, we can do that. And they converted what had become a dead IP over into the Fortnite that we know now. Oh, man. I could really see that. I could really see that. A Helldivers crossover with PowerWash. All right, Cheese. Thanks for joining us. You could have like hell pods. You could have like a row of capes. Eventually, they're going to give us those mechas, so we could have something. Oh, you could have like an eagle in the pelican. And like I was saying, you know, we'll have the mechas, we'll have the vehicles. Thanks, Craigers. Get some rest. I mean, sounds like a bad first impression there. You generally don't want your you generally want a mech and not an impact bomb. I managed to do one of those meteor shower planet missions solo. I brought a shield pack, and there were plenty of times where I was huddled in one of those blown open shipping containers, like clinging to the ground while the explosions went off around me. I'm getting better at popping objectives from a great distance with the autocannon. As long as I've got an angle on the vents, I can take out the bot factories. And there are the robot comm tower ones that you can hit from as long ways off. But yes, Helldivers is fun. I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the new War Bond adds next week. I'm also looking forward to their community engagement here, because the CEO had to come out and like publicly apologize for some of their Discord mods and their devs on Reddit. Because apparently some of those folks got on there and did effectively the cry more noobs kind of response. But I really do appreciate the fact that they're willing to do that. Oh, especially they'd be really concerned because the game is selling like hotcakes right now, and they don't want to lose that. Like, the sales curve is the opposite of what you normally see with this game. With Helldivers, it's sales are increasing, like accelerating, as opposed to decaying since launch day. Normally you get that it's released, so a bunch of people buy it and dive in. And then as the new game rush wears off, that falls away. So having some goobers getting out there and offending everybody, probably not what they want to have happen. Welcome back, Landon. Rubbing down a Thunderhawk gunship. Which is a transport spacecraft that is sort of like, they took a World War II kind of landing boat, said, but what if we strapped jets and wings to it? As is the habit with a lot of 40k vehicles. Effectively, there's a lot of what if World War II, but in space, going on. And welcome back, lol. Everybody just ended up stepping away instead. That's fun. I appreciate you coming back. Always welcome. Always welcome. Pot roast. Was it accompanied by potatoes? I feel that there are a lot of meat dishes of that nature that are augmented by the addition of mashed potatoes. That's right. It wasn't a matter of should they make a brick fly through space, but more of a how shall we make a brick fly through space? This is still the transport ship, Lel. It's less fiddly than the night was, for sure. But there's quite a bit of it. Mostly just a matter of surface area, you know? I would ultimately say the night is going to end up having been harder. Because with this one, I just have to have, I just need to get different lines of sight as opposed to working my way into tricky spots. Otherwise, it'll just take the time, you know? Because we've only been working on the first half of the ship at this point. I think that's a good objective to work, you know? We got a lot of ladders this time. Sides here, and then Little Big Planet. Was that the one with the where the character you controlled was like a little knitted doll? The sack boy? Yes, I have played that. It was a very silly multiplayer experience. A lot of fun, though. Be a couple of spots on this that are awkward. That I don't recall. I do not recall really any of the music from it. I don't know if I played 3. brackets have. It's the whole thing. Precariously walk up. Indeed, precariously. Go. Always plenty of scammers available. I mean, one of the most common ads on type of ads on YouTube lately for me has been AI voiced over stock footage of, you know, known hack doodads like swamp heaters, that kind of, or swamp coolers, that kind of thing. Talking about it as if it's this amazing secret tech that the government is trying to hide from you. Order now before they shut us down. Let's say, I don't know what platform you were trying it on, but it's a common thing with PC is figuring out what it is about your setup that conflicts with particular games, you know? Or vice versa, however you want to look at it. Now, if it doesn't work on console, that's an entirely different thing. Right, more about the battle on the planet's surface. Apparently. The problem with a lot of those is that they set themselves up so they're not technically doing anything wrong. Like sometimes the things they're saying are not technically a lie. Just slight hyperbole, and at least there are a lot of places where that's allowed in advertising, even if it's severe hyperbole. You know, we make the bestest pizza ever, or, you know, this works super well. Clinically proven. was given a paid sponsorship for this product, and it totally worked for me. People can get away with a lot of stuff. A lot of the systems that are put in place are not to protect the consumer. They're there to protect, like, the store that sells it or something like that. That's an interesting idea. The idea that you can say it's the best because that's like an assertion of opinion. Whereas if you say it's better, then there's got to be that's something that asserts that there is a thing that makes you better, and you need to sort of prove it, you know? I mean, one sad thing is you still got a lot of folks that are they wouldn't be able to advertise it if it wasn't true kind of thing. And there isn't that, they don't necessarily discern the difference between those statements of like, oh, 9 out of 10 dentists agree kind of statements versus like, this stuff has gone through, rigorous medical testing to show that it does, in fact, do exactly this thing. As opposed to, well, we had a clinical trial, and, of the 10 people that we put through the trial, 9 of them said that they had a positive result. The clinical trial with everything wrong with it. So they can say a bunch of, qualitative things and make true statements about a particular event that did happen, but that is designed to be deceptive. Not only did one of them not like it, lol, but it's also the idea that there were only 10 people in your test. And those 10 people said they had positive results. Not that you could prove that they had positive results, that this is something that was what you were looking for and was as a result of the thing you were testing, as opposed to some other factor. Tests and trials like that are actually, like, there are really well-established ways to do them so that they can work. And even following those patterns properly, you might still miss something. And that's where repeatability comes in. Often you'll have people that are like, oh, we did a scientific study and it totally worked once. And nobody has ever managed to make it work again. Often what you call that kind of study is a lie or a fluke, depending on, you know, how willful it was. Yep. Not only did we get a result, and that result is what is supposed to happen based on our assertion, but also that you could take those instructions, give them to somebody else, and they'll be able to do the same thing. There are a lot of shoddy studies that really have a this one time at band camp kind of vibe to them. Such is the way of stream chat, lol. It's less of a specific thing, it's more of a journey. We might start one place, but we have no idea where we're going to end up. And I fell off the jet. I guess we're cleaning this part. Short-form videos, especially scrolling through them in the fashion that people generally do, is very much just kind of a rolling series of potentially arbitrary topics, with the goal being to find something that seems to work for an individual viewer and then to bombard them with them. Like, oh, you like this. Here's more of it. Here's more of it. Oh, we think you might like this. Here's more of it. That's one of the things that, as far as how the YouTube algorithm works, a lot of people get backwards. It doesn't serve you up something just because it's popular. It might test that with you initially. Because a whole lot of people liked it. It'll effectively randomly sample first, and then based on that, it'll change the sample set and change the sample set until it gets an idea of, and we're anthropomorphizing a bit, but until it gets an idea of what seems to work, which groups it sticks with, and then it will keep showing it to those groups until they stop looking. So if it's not working, it's not that Your content isn't necessarily being shown to people. It is, but those people aren't engaging with it. Far enough away, then there we go. The opposite path that I was trying. Instead of use a short barrel from up close, we'll use a long barrel from farther away. Take that, grime. I've outmaneuvered you. It's both accurate, and one of our jokes with the stream regularly is, this is an educational stream. We learn things here. You know, strange things, and don't at all consider me a source of truth or absolute knowledge on a lot of these topics, but you know, we talk about a lot of different things and try to understand a lot of different things. I like to find out about the origins of memes and sayings. A fun thing you can do with a lot of popular sayings or, you know, phrases and whatnot that go around is take bets on if it's rooted in something racist or derogatory. Pro tip, most of them usually are. I mean, not necessarily in the traditional sense of, well, actually, no, very much in the traditional sense. They are phrases often rooted in a sense of xenophobia or stereotype. Actually appropriate to mention the idea of xenophobia when we are doing 40k content. Especially when we're hosing down Imperium vehicles. I was actually looking up AdMech sayings or quotes attributed to AdMech characters for the name of this stream. A lot of them end up being generic Imperium sayings, which I don't actually think fits a lot of the concepts of it. I feel like over time, some of the identity of the Adeptus Mechanicus has been sort of lumped in with general Imperial identity, which I think is a shame. This might only be in fiction, of course. But, you know, GW is a little quick to canonize some of the fiction. See, I still feel like they did orcs a disservice by making it canon that the Weird Boys don't actually make tech that works because they know how to make tech that looks like garbage actually functional. It's just that enough orcs believe that it works, so it's okay. Almost feel like it's a cop-out, you know? In the same way, one of the gimmicks of the AdMech is supposed to be that they don't actually follow the Imperial cult in Creed. And it's not that they refuse to use xenotechnology, it's that they're very circumspect about it. They sort of play nice with the Imperium and recognize that there are things that are outside of their own orthodoxy that they don't like to touch. But that doesn't mean that they're not willing to research alien technology, you know? It's much more of a let's take a look for science kind of thing. And that they consider the sort of technology that they already have access to sort of the right way to do things. Hey there, Lewis. And Brianna. Lewis, I like the idea of the Wa being able to influence reality, but I don't like the fact that they use that as the universal justification for why orc tech works. Like, that should be a garnish, not the universal. Unless I'm misinterpreting what you said. Well, I can't help you with not being able to sleep, Gregors. I'm not the person to come to for that kind of question or assertion. We're doing some 40k PowerWash content. Chat endearing it. Can't recall if I've ever seen a Thunderhawk with such a big gun on top of it. And also, why would the Thunderhawk have a big gun up here? I mean, 40k vehicle design, that's why, but... This is a weapon that could only fire at ground targets in a nosedive, at other aircraft in a head-on shot, because this is a fixed mount. It can only raise up and down. So things above you. Maybe they're thinking space combat and you fly upside down to in relation to the target, you know? But yeah, 40K vehicle design. Were they the type of fairy lights that has the little, Bluetooth controller that lets you make them change color and, like, strobe and whatnot? Warhammer 40,000 is the origin of a setting type called Grimdark, which is, to some extent, the sci-fi culmination of a punk setting. As in, technology and history has led us to such a terrible place, like the worst possible future. Deltarune. I have played a bit of the first chapter of Deltarune. I have not played much of it because I'd rather play it once it's done. I mean, I feel like if I was as athletic as the characters in this game, and I had power washing equipment that was that capable, I think I could call down that kind of money. Like, if I had a power washer that could do this. Undertale I have played. I loved Undertale. I've only done normal and pacifist runs. I refuse to do a genocide run. Because I don't feel the need to destroy my what I liked about the narrative, like what so charmed me about the narrative, as well as my like of the gameplay. Because a genocide run is designed to be unpleasant in every way. Both in what you are doing, but also how you have to do it. Thanks, Gregors. But I love playing through Undertale. It is great. The opening of Asgore's battle theme, Bergentrucken, which is the opening of it, not the entirety of it, still hits hard, you know? I have not played Up. I'm not big on platformers at all. In my youth, I played a lot of platformers. Your Marios and your Mega Men. But I have managed to develop a feeling of vertigo playing that kind of game, and it's not pleasant. Oh, lift attack wing. Neat. Can I lift gun? Can we lift gun? Crystal deposit. We will need to lower it back down because the interior of the hinge will need to get hit. Turbo Laser Destructor. Oh boy. Turbo lasers are one of the big guns. You can tell because it has turbo in the name. They will also use things like macro and whatnot for those kind of things. Macro appropriate being like the smaller one, but big. So in this particular instance, within the context of 40K, this is essentially a machine technician washing war machines down that are being sent down to a planet to retrieve something in a battlefield, essentially. The lore of Warhammer 40,000 in general, I don't have a perfect grasp on, and we don't have the time to go into much nuance of it. But effectively, humanity blew itself up, and a magic space baby brought it all back together, and then went on a rampage across outer space. And some of the magic space baby's soldiers got angry with him and turned against him. And there was a big war, and now everything is even worse, and there are aliens. That is 40K. I feel like I have to put that up as a short to see how much hate mail I get. But interestingly, the default game, this is DLC for PowerWash Simulator, the default game has lore and a story as well. Even though you are just playing as somebody who starts up a kind of out-of-their-garage power washing business, they get a van and some equipment, and they take commissions around town to wash things. There is a story and lore in that. It is pretty amusing. It is engaging. I think part of the charm of the game is not only does it have, for lack of a better term, satisfying gameplay, it is meant to be completionist. It ticks those OCD boxes, you know? But they also managed to blend that with a narrative, and that's... I'd almost say that's weird. In a cool way. Personally, for me, the core gameplay, one of the elements of the core gameplay that I love the most is when you finish cleaning a particular object sufficiently that it is almost completely clean, that you get a nice little ding sound, it flashes gold, and it cleans up like that. Right, that right there. That is wonderful. That is the skinneriest of boxes. makes that little lizard brain happy, you know? Still, why would you put this on the top? It's not even like it needs it's such a big heavy gun that it needs the reinforcement of the whole spine of the ship to handle it, because it's on a pivot. Like, it looks like this can elevate. Maybe it can't. Maybe it can't. Because then it's a spinal mount gun, and then I guess, okay. It is intended for you to be a fly right at them and hit them. Can't stop washing this. I'm glad you're having a good time. I want to at least finish the Thunderhawk today. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can get there. Play a little longer to accomplish that. That's why we're going to have to lower the attack wing again, is to get at the other side there. But yeah, folks, it does. You know, the conversation doesn't have to be about the game or the DLC. I mean, if you want to, that's perfectly fine. I'm down for amateur talk about 40K, let's call it, or PowerWash, as much as you like. So grubby. Clear this away. Baby in yellow. I'm not familiar with that one. No worries. Generally, I mean, with spoilers, newer content, there is a line at which I will say, past a particular point chronologically, spoilers don't count anymore. The old Lord of the Rings movie joke, spoilers, Gandalf comes back. Generally, with the spoilers call out for that Nightbot gives, that's more for the game we're playing and the games we play. Don't spoil it. Most of the time, we're playing through blind, and a lot of the games we play are have narrative content, so it's more fun to find out organically. It's like the difficulties that Tass and some other folks had with the new Final Fantasy remake. Is that the minute it gets released, there were spoilers top to bottom on every social media site. So you have to essentially put your head in a bag whenever you engage with that kind of thing. Otherwise, somebody will post a thumbnail on their video that is showing you a key story element. It's hitting theaters, so it'll be a bit before I'll watch it, because I don't really have the urge to pay theater money to see movies much lately. Is Imaginary. That seems to be the right sort of creepy for me. Sometimes I like me some the kind of horror that comes from let's stop and think about this for a moment kind of stuff. Like, what if imaginary friends were actual creatures kind of stuff, Horror is one of those genres that actually has a lot more subcategories than people often give them credit for. They're just like, oh, they're, jump scary, gory things. And it's like, there's a lot of different types. And I think, like I said earlier, jump scare is fun now and again. It's a particular type of thing. I don't like it when the entire experience is built on that. Like, there needs to be something more. If we're talking like a narrative, like a whole experience. It's why the observation duty games work for me. There are jump scare moments. Oh man, there are good jump scare moments in those games. Where you are startled because even if it's something you have seen before, you didn't expect to see at that time. Again, you get that adrenaline hit. But it's just as much a spot the difference thing, where you're trying to remember, was that there before? Did that move? So there's... the jump scares happen, but the core gameplay is spot the difference. And I think that's what does it, you know? They have been steadily releasing observation duty games. I don't know if they're done with it at 6. Maybe I'll have to look again. Maybe there's a 7. Just enough. It's kind of like when you hold the hotkey, the little crouch walk hotkey in Minecraft when you're on an edge, so that you can go right up to the limit of falling off without doing so you can do things like, you know, place a block underneath you kind of stuff. Drink water before I forget again. So one of the things, I don't know if this is the same kind that can do it, but one of the things that these ships are used for is a spaceship to spaceship boarding ship. And that on some of them, it's meant to be that you ram the front of the ship into the hull of the other and punch into it. And that forward door is how you would then board. Spike your ship in, you know? From a perspective of that, where it's a, you know, a space vehicle, the fact that it's all chunky looking with definitely not aerodynamic wings at all on the above here, Like, yeah, it's the quote-unquote attack wing, but it's still going to be exposed to the flow of wind. As cannons. Yeah, they don't really have a lot of armaments that could strike downward without diving, which isn't uncommon, but... yeah. So the upward spinal mount one is kind of odd. Really, I'd really think that would be on the bottom. Yeah, assuming that the in relation to what is normally the ground when you're dealing with a terrestrial engagement, unless you are flying upside down, it would seem that it would be difficult to use that unless you were going after a giant target. Whereas if it were underneath, you could potentially fire lower, or at least get an angle lower than you could otherwise. But that's just me. Don't think we're going to get through this one today. I get that impression. This is good though. This is good though. We're getting plenty of gameplay out of this. Worthwhile DLC. Got a whole other attack wing. We've got the entire rear of the ship, more or less. Got the underside of the one attack wing still. We're hardly a third through it. Oh, we're a little over a third through. You know. Wow. Great deal of ground to cover. Let's see if we can get the underside of this attack wing. And even the underside of the attack wings is going to require some work here. Can I lower it? That'll let me get some more of it easier, I guess. Some more of it easier. Just have to use a longer gun for it. I do like that it is the different types of dirt that are on something matter as to how easy it is to strip them off different surfaces. I'm glad you like the music, Lol. I try to periodically go back through and see if there are extra tracks I can add to the playlist. That is new types of music and samples of that, or if it's going to be just more of what I've already got there. I had commissioned my own, essentially my own theme tracks for the stream, but people kept copy claiming them. Well, the YouTube automatic content ID system kept flagging them as infringing some wildly irrelevant piece of music, like not even close to it, wildly irrelevant. So instead, I've been using stuff by Epidemic Sound, which is a service that you essentially subscribe to that gives you access to their music. And they carefully curate the IP on platforms like YouTube and Twitch and the like. So they will take action to remove any false claims to that music, or if Content ID flags it incorrectly, they'll remove that for you. Which is great. I like that. And they got good music. Pretty close to this whole las cannon being done. Looks like it. I think that's about where we're going to call it today. We made a lot of progress on it, but there's still a lot of ways to go. Lot of ways to go. We're only 39% through it. So there's going to be some extra streams of this. Said, I'm pleased. I'm pleased. It is worthwhile DLC. PowerWash Simulator is continuing its trend of when they put something out, it's cool. And they've indicated that there's going to be like a few more paid DLCs this year, a few holiday ones this year. They're still putting out stuff for this game, and it's good stuff. The Christmas one was amusing. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good time. I will be trying to have a stream tomorrow and Sunday. The goal is to have some more programming streams, keep working on our Nyanite Survivors game. See if we can get see if we can start getting some actual spawner logic in. I think we need to rework some of the way that I'm handling spawners for like bullets and for monsters and the like, and adjust some more of the firing logic for bullets so that we don't have some that just spawn and sit there. We'll have to tweak some stuff, but we'll get back to that hopefully starting tomorrow. Again, yeah, I hope you had a good time. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to like, subscribe, comment, follow, all that good stuff. Press those buttons. They do help. It will help the algorithm show you more stuff like this in the future. But again, thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.